at Turning Point USA. It's even more of an honor to follow Erica Kirk, a heroic figure and a true American patriot.
Ben Shapiro 的演讲内容：没有真理的胜利就是谎言的胜利。虽然他面对着美国观众讲，但是真理只有一个。对台湾人来说，也需要这样的讯息，也不管你来自哪里，所以请把它听完。如果我们是活在自由的国度，有自主权，需要认知的问题，以及认真的思考。
Check the record. Our duty to provide you evidence means we actually have to do much more than just ask questions. Just asking questions is something my 5-year-old does, and it's really cute when it comes from my 5-year-old. But when grown men and women spend their days just asking questions without, seeking answers, they are lying to you. In fact, they're doing something even worse. They are seeding distrust in the world around you, and they are enervating you in the process. So, for example, if many speakers, including... And that means you won't trust those good people in the future. You haven't gotten smarter, you've just been manipulated. When forced to demonstrate their evidence, these same people will often refuse to provide it. They'll claim ignorance. They'll pretend they're outside the system. And they don't have access to actual information. They're just asking questions. But many of these same people have direct pipelines to informational sources. So, for example, if Tucker wants answers to his questions about... But when people posit a conspiracy and then provide you no evidence, they are doing you a fundamental disservice, and they are making you stupider in the process. Finally, because it is our job to make the lives of our audience better, right? That's really our job, is to give you more information to make your lives better. We have a duty to propose solutions. That's why we have to talk about our problems in order to find the solutions. That's what politics was supposed to be about, after all, finding solutions to our common problems. If we speak endlessly about the problems we face, without ever positing a solution other than wrecking the system or centralizing power in a cult-like figure, we are not finding solutions. We are merely making problems worse. Just asking questions, positing vague conspiracies, raving like Alex Jones about the secret confederacies that control your life, none of it makes your life better. None of it. In fact, it makes your life markedly worse. That's because if you truly come to believe that nothing in your life is in your control, you can't even take control of your own life. You despair of your ability to change your own circumstances, and then you fail. And you must not fail. Because here is the most fundamental truth of all in the United States. For all of its problems, many of which, a huge number of which, are real and serious, the United States is still the greatest country in the history of planet Earth.
你有没有发现，同样在台湾，虽然有很多人不问问题，但同时也有很多人问问题，可是他们并没有带着寻找答案的心态和态度来问问题，这是我们需要面对且用行动来解决的事情。
We have the greatest constitution ever devised by man. We have the greatest founding philosophy ever put to paper in the Declaration of Independence. In this country, you can make of yourself what you will, and if there are true obstacles standing in your way, we can all work together to remove them. That, by the way, is the essence of conservatism, that we live in a world created by God with a logic and a rationale, that we as human beings were created in God's image, as it says in the book of Genesis, with creative capacity and the power to choose, and that in a free country of limited government and defined powers, with property rights and equality under law, our destiny is in our hands, and that we all have a duty to make the most of that historic opportunity. Anyone who tries to convince you otherwise is lying to you, and they are making your life worse in the process.
Ben 讲话速度很快，在这边我们先停下来思考一下。我们因被造而平等，我们同样也有自主权。在一个自由的国家，有限的政府，有自己的财产和明确的权利。但是年轻人们有觉得我们的命运掌握在自己的手中吗？如果没有，我们是否都有责任去善用现在这个历史性的机会？
Now that lie may feel good in the moment. It may excuse us from taking the corrective action we can take on a personal level to fix our lives. It might give us someone else to blame for our own failures. But in the end, the lie kills. Not just your future, but the country that we've been given. So, for those of us who talk for a living, that's our job. To discuss America's problems with truth and with evidence. To provide possible solutions. And to encourage Americans to succeed and make great decisions. We who speak to people on a regular basis, who have a microphone and an audience, we have duties to you. The duty to speak the truth. The duty to speak from principle, not personal feeling. The duty to take responsibility for our own actions. The duty to provide you with evidence to do more than conspiracize or just ask questions. And the duty to posit real solutions. And if we fail in those duties, you shouldn't listen to us. But you have duties too. Far more important duties. Duties to God and to yourself and to your families. The duty to do the best for yourself and your family and your country with the abilities that God gave you. The duty to be grateful for this extraordinary country. The duty to celebrate what we've all been given and to fight to preserve it. All of that, every bit of that, begins with truth. We owe you that quest for truth. You owe yourselves that quest for truth. And true victory only comes through truth. Thanks so much. Happy to take a couple questions.
我们致力于传承转折点的使命，不是建立一个台湾的分会，因为 Turning Point USA 是 USA， 而我们是我们。
当天我们录到的这2个问答，刚好是我们最需要，也是我们想问的。
In Los Angeles. So my question is, just with the divide in the conservative movement right now, what is your suggestion as to how young people can kind of come together and bridge that divide and just, bring unity right now?
So, again, I think that unity has to be reliant on first principles. No one would ask conservatives to unite with radical trans activists, because that would be silly. And so we first have to decide what are the principles that we hold in common, and then actually determine who are our allies in that particular fight. Now, again, the coalition may shift depending on the issue. That's kind of a normal thing in politics. Sometimes you're going to have different allies than you have with regard to other issues. But when it comes to how young people ought to decide what they believe, that's the thing I'm most concerned about. Because if I'm talking about the long-term trends of America, not merely the coalitions of the moment, which break and reform and break constantly. Right? George W. Bush's coalition was obviously not Donald Trump's coalition, and Donald Trump's coalition is not going to be J.D. Vance's coalition. Meaning every politician has their own coalition. That's the nature of electoral politics. What I'm more concerned about is the trajectory of how people think and what people think. And so before determining how to unify with others, you should first decide what are the things that are important to you. What are your fundamental values? And then you should find people who agree with those fundamental values, because the problem is if you don't, then when push comes to shove, things come apart pretty quickly. Take one more.
Hi Ben, big fan of yours and stuff, and I'm currently a college sophomore, and my university just started a chapter and it got approved. So just for your advice, how can we spread conservatism on campus and any hate or anything like that? Just combat that, and what would your words of encouragement?
I mean, my words of encouragement are look at Charlie Kirk. Right? That's the word of encouragement. Charlie was your age when he started doing this. I referenced earlier that I met Charlie when he was 18 years old. There was actually a David Horowitz Freedom Center conference, and Charlie was going around trying to meet donors. And I saw this really nerdy, tall, gangly kid walking around trying to meet people, and I started introducing Charlie to a few of his sort of original donors. And by the way, in the first conversation with Charlie, I've said this before, but it's true. Charlie walked away, and I turned to my friend Jeremy Boring. I said, that dude's going to be the head of the RNC one day. Because Charlie was just that much of a go-getter, and it turns out that he's a lot bigger than that. I think that everyone has the potential to do that. Not everybody has the same exact skill set, and you have to find the skill set that best suits you. Maybe you're great at debate. Charlie was great at debate. Actually, what's fascinating about Charlie is that Charlie made himself great at debate. I knew Charlie when he wasn't great at debate, and then I knew Charlie when he was great at debate. He actually cultivated a skill set. It was really impressive and cool to watch him do that. That's something you can do too. So again, if Charlie can do that, a raw kid out of high school, no college degree, and build the most powerful conservative organization in America, then you can do it too. because that's what America's all about. You're an American, go do it. Thank you so much.